Well, hello there, YouTube. It is just about somewhere around 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Tuesday. Remember, I will be doing these public painting sessions on Tuesdays and Thursdays around 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To be more specific, 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is one of the studio paintings that I am working on currently. The painting that I was previously working on, so the one you saw last Thursday, I'm still going to keep working on. I just haven't quite decided what I'm going to put in that picture frame yet. So tomorrow I'm actually going to be working on this painting from life. So this is actually dry over here. I was working on the background earlier today. So this is a portrait that is in progress. It's a double portrait. It might even become a triple portrait at some point, I'm not sure. But it's a huge painting. It's 30 by 40 inches, and I'm working on at least this section of the painting from life on Wednesdays with my Wednesday morning portrait group. So if you ever want to paint with me on Wednesdays and see how I work on this painting in person, you're welcome to come paint with me. It's Howard County Arts Council in Howard County, Maryland. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to correct the hand. The hand is a little bit large. When I was blocking this in last week, I didn't notice that I made it that big. And after correcting the hand, if I can get to it, I'm going to get to the headband, or the hair, the flower band on her head, and add more specifics to that. If I get past this and I get past this, I'm going to probably start working on the dress. The wedding dress definitely needs a lot more work. Her sister's posing over here. I have not figured out what dress I'm going to give her. No, she was not posing without any clothes. She had a white dress in this picture, which I can't have a white dress and a white dress because it wouldn't work. So still haven't figured out what dress I'm going to give the second model in there. So let's go ahead and show you how I correct mistakes in paintings. Hey Edward Luis, how you doing? Alright, so hold on a second with the chat. Let's see. We've got one of the robots trying to mess with the stream. Okay. Alright, so first thing you're going to notice is I'm going to just hold the palette and show you the mixtures on here, even though it's not as zoomed in. When we return to the other one, I can put the camera back, but at least with this, I'll just show you as I mix. I added a little bit of Gamsol. Now I'm just going with my standard drawing colors. So I'm going up with Alizarin Permanent, Burnt Sienna, Ultramarine Blue, and I'm just going to redraw the hand. So I was drawing her hand last Wednesday from life. So the hand did tend to move a lot because that's what happens when the model is posing from life, but I definitely didn't pay enough attention to the size. So this needs to move up. So the main topic of today is going to be how do you learn art or art related stuff. Same colors, just ultramarine blue. And I'm just drawing, so it doesn't matter what I use. It's just going to be painted over anyway. So Dioxazine purple. The main topic for today's discussion is going to be how do you learn art or any art related stuff. So for me, this is one of the biggest learning experiences, is to correct, to make a mark and change something dramatically is a very big learning process for me. It's not always as clear what to do in the moment while you're painting. But after you stop looking at your painting, after you just let it sit for a week or so and you return to it and you're like, wow, there's so much I can do. So much more I can do. So there's a knuckle for the pinky over here. And this is one of the techniques that I use to correct things. I just go with outlines first. Okay, this would be a shadow shape. Another knuckle for the pinky there. And this was a great gesture. I actually painted her hands in a different position last time. Okay, so that's that for that. The fingers now might have a little bit too much width, so I'm going to start with this top finger and redraw. Also, someone mentioned last time if I work on other paintings. So, yes, I do work on other paintings. And I wanted to show you another one I was working on. Because I'm actually running really late on this one. I should have been far beyond this point in this painting. So hopefully you don't mind too much that we're working on this one. And we'll continue the other one too. It's just I'm going to work from life with this one tomorrow, so I need to have some more work done on it. I'm just adjusting the width. Okay. So I haven't heard much from those of you in the watching this live. So if you're watching this as a pre-recorded video, I have enabled live chat replay. So you'll be able to talk, or not talk, but you'll be able to watch the conversation unfold as if it was live. Adjusting the thumb. And this hand is a much bigger challenge than the other one. I don't know where where is everyone? Hey, Adrian. Oh, thank you. Okay, so that doesn't really shrink this finger too much. It gives me more of a idea of where the edges actually end up. This finger is definitely running kind of thick, so I'm gonna have to move this line down. Which is going to move the knuckle. One of the other biggest ways that I've learned is through master studies. It's one of the integral parts of my online classes is the master studies. Having the patience to follow through a master study, you'll see that the old masters also did paint and repaint areas too. But just because I have to redraw the hand doesn't mean that I'm any less of a painter. Hey, Canvas Dancer. Brian Wong and Jim Adams, welcome. Yep, it's okay to, if you don't feel like chatting, that's alright. Okay, so here's another knuckle. Making a line for that knuckle. This knuckle is more of an obvious plane change. The wrist bumps up to about here. Adrian, what is your favorite palette? Good question. My favorite palette is my palette, the palette that I'm using. So this palette consists of 18 different colors. So 18 different colors plus lead white. It has pretty much almost any color that I could possibly imagine in pretty much any painting. So again, it's listed in the description box of this video, but I do like the Studio Incominati styled palette. So this arrangement of colors that looks kind of like a rainbow is derived from Studio Incominati type color palette. Let's adjust this. Let me adjust the lighting once again so you can see what I'm doing. But thank you for the question. Hey, Edward Lewis, thank you. Ahmed, how to make the shadow in the face? Make the shadows. So funny you mentioned that. This green does not look like this, and it shouldn't look like that, but it has sunken in. So when a painting dries, the darks actually, the oil gets absorbed into the surface of the painting. So this is not as light. It shouldn't be as light as it looks, nor is this as light. So this is one big area that has sunken in. Shadows on the face are the things you actually want to start with. So once you're drawing, the basic shapes of a face, go in with light and shadow as dramatically as possible, and choose your painting reference or your lighting as wisely as you possibly can. I started this one not from a picture. This is probably only the second time I worked on it from a picture, but I'm working on this one completely, almost completely, obviously not entirely, but mostly from life. I'm using the picture to help me out in certain instances, like the hand, for example. Like, she's not going to keep her hand this still for a long time, so it's beneficial for me to adjust the hand from the picture. Start it from life like I did, correct it with the picture, but still keeping the basic pose, the basic grace, the gesture of the hand. So my advice with the shadows on the face is to make sure that whatever lighting that you're using makes the light and shadow as clear as possible. That's just a piece of paper towel. Again, I apologize for having to switch up the paintings on you, but I'm really running behind on this one. Okay, so that adjusts the hand, at least the outlines for it. I'm gonna stand back, see if that makes a notable difference. I can zoom you out so you can see. Now the next thing that I'm going to have to adjust is more with the width or the outside shape of the hand. So once again, I'm just using the same kind of colors. And at least if I hold my palette up like this, you can see more closely what I'm doing. There's the Neo-Megilp. Okay, so this was running a tad bit wide. Now I'm not drawing the shape perfectly, like the way I see it from the picture. I'm having to basically push and pull using what I have already started with last time and what I'm seeing in the picture. Okay, so this finger is getting long. When you're painting a live model, they're going to move. She's not posing live right now, but when I was painting her, it was just movement after movement after movement with her hand. And it's not her fault, it's just difficult to keep her hand straight like that. Okay, so that adjusts the width a tad bit. And that's what you want to do when you're adjusting something as important as that in a painting. You absolutely have to start out with the lines, no doubt about it. Alright, so next I'm going to start to put in the shadow shapes that should be all around the hand. So for that, I'm going to switch to another brush. I'm show you what I'm going to mix over here. So I'm going to mix kind of like a basic brownish color. So I'm going straight from Alizarin Permanent to Viridian, a little bit of Indian yellow, Cadmium Green, so pretty much a little bit of everything. Gonna need some medium Neo-Megilp. Let's see what this looks like. So it should be a dark kind of greenish shadow. That works all right. Hey man, when I paint I find out that the nose is the most difficult part of the face. Okay, the nose. What's the most challenging with the face, for the most part, is usually subjective. I think for many people it's the eyes. For me, it's the cheekbones. For you, it's the nose. The nose, think of it almost like a triangle. So I'm just adding a little bit more warmth into this color. You see now it's kind of like a nice brownish tone. So think about it as a triangle first. So here's your triangular shape. There's a side plane to the triangle, which makes it almost like a pyramid. And then on the bottom, there's kind of like a almost like a flying saucer kind of look, which is the bulb of the nose and the wings of the nose. So you've got nasal bridge, bulb of the nose, wings of the nose, side planes of the nose. The nose, the nose physically begins at the plane break for the glabella, which should be over there. The entire distance of the nose is between the glabella and the bottom of the nose here. So oftentimes people will actually make noses long because they don't pinpoint where the glabella is. and so that can make it look like it's a little bit longer than it is. A little bit more of a orangey color. Hey Stephanie. So I didn't give up on the other painting, I'm just running behind. I'm falling behind on this project that I'm working on with my Wednesday morning group. A little bit of the orange molybdate goes a long way. It actually gets a little lighter over here, closer to the greenish. Hey Jim Adams, yep, studying anatomy definitely helps for the nose. Anatomy in general is great to help you place the parts, but it's not necessarily going to help you paint better. It's just going to help you know what you're painting. But it's a very important thing to know. Especially with the human figure, it's a little more important with the human figure. And I teach figure painting online now in the online classes, so it is a very essential part of anatomy. Mixing up a little bit of a darker. Hey David Bonnet. Oh, thank you. AO Chan Sky 1. Oh, thank you. Yeah, hands are tough, but I will tell you, I like hands because they're almost like another portrait. Like there's a lot of character and personality in hands, similar to a face. Pretty neat. Okay, so I'm gonna have to, now that I've placed this dark, restate the shadows for the hands. So I lost them before, so now we've got to get them back. Hey Diversidad, hello there. Okay, so I want something similar to this, so I tend to mix right into my old puddles, putting a little more green. I figure with my webcam's kind of terrible, the one that you were looking at my palette from. I figure even if I hold the palette like this, you might actually be able to see the colors better. And my palette's not that heavy, so I can hold it like this without too much problem. That's too dark. See, now it's almost the value of the palette. I'll make a mark and stand back, and that looks pretty close to the shadow tone. I'm using a Sable now. Well, I was using a Sable to redraw anyway, but this is a different one. This is the cat's tongue. Not made from cat's tongues, it's just the shape of it. That's what it's called. When I painted in the background, I chopped off some of the sides of her hair. So, I don't think that that's how I painted it. So another way that one learns painting, or learns art, let's just say, is through community. So I've learned a lot from painters around me, especially going to these art groups. Like I said, tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., I will be painting in Howard County Arts Council. I'll be working on this painting of my wife from life. She's posing for us. And I learn a lot from the people that I meet there, and in all kinds of painting groups. Now that the pandemic is kind of slowing down a little bit, at least I think it is, there's more art groups meeting up now. So I've met a lot of great people in these art groups. So there's actually two light sources here that causes a little bit of confusion in here. So there's a window that's providing some ambient light, and then there's a bright spotlight on her. So the lighting is much more challenging than the other one that I'm working on. Hey David Bonnet, yep, correct. Hands can be difficult just because of the complexity of it. There's a lot of stuff in it. Okay. Would be a different color. So make sure not to make all your shadows the same color. So these two are probably fine, they're in the same plane. Underneath of this finger, the shadow should not be the same. And it's impossible to tell on the reference, but it should be a bit warmer. Now there's a shadow on this part of the thumb, and this thumb is actually mostly in the shadow. You see, it's going to get some reflected light in it. That's why it looks lighter from a window. So, question goes out to everyone. How do you feel like you learn art? This is the main topic of today's virtual painting session. What's your main method to learn? While you're typing that, I will talk a bit about how my students learn and how I actually study my students. The one thing I like to do is I like to learn how my students learn. So it sounds kind of weird to say learning how someone else learns, but people have different learning styles. Some students learn by simply just sitting and watching, and they learn that way. Others learn by breaking the rules a little bit and innovating and coming up with their own methods. I have other students that learn from repainting, like painting over things, and their end result ends up being that much stronger. Ojan Sky One, let's see. I don't know. Yes, true. DB. I don't know what that one. Oh, trial and error. Yeah, definitely. And practice, of course. Hey, Misty Artist. Yeah, definitely. Practice. The saying "practice makes perfect" is it's a nice cliche. Unfortunately, it's not always true. I feel like it's the right kind of practice that needs to be put into place. I find that with myself, I could think about that Einstein quote. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So it's the right kind of practice, I'd say. Hey, Canvas Dancer. By doing it, that being said, I have 3 art degrees, but I still think the best way to learn is by working with other artists. Oh, thanks. Awesome. Good job. Oh, thank you. What do I use to seal / prep a wooden palette as mine? So this one is this is a original Larry Wiseman palette. Larry Wiseman is a palette maker based in Pennsylvania, right on the almost like on the border with Maryland. So he's really close to Baltimore. So he sealed it with, I think he said 10 coats of polyurethane. 10 coats of polyurethane, and I clean it every night. I clean the mixing space every night with safflower oil. But the answer to your question is 10 coats of polyurethane. Hey, Miss the Artist. Yeah, hands are tough, but they're fun. They're a fun, tough thing, I'd say. Good job. I learned by asking questions, then put newfound knowledge to practical use. Good. That's a good, should be a quote there. Mr. Artist, do you sell your art? Yes, I do. I'm currently doing a commission for one of my students. I won't get too specific about that, but yes. It's just I don't really sell the bigger ones like this one because shipping would be really difficult. So I sell the smaller ones. But I don't end up selling that much because I spend forever on the paintings. So I'm just blurring the line for this shape. I'm going to paint into it again. Hey Chris, what brand of oil paint do you like to use? So I have a big variety, a huge variety of different colors. Like I have Rublevs here. I have Rublevs. I have Williamsburg. I have Michael Harding. I have Gamblin. I have Winsor Newton. I think those are it. Those are all the brands that I have. So, for example, this orange Molybdate is Rublev. This Indian yellow is Winsor Newton. My lead white is Michael Harding. Cadmium Red Deep here is Old Holland. My Cadmium Green I think is Gamblin. My medium is definitely Gamblin. It's Neo-Megilp. So from Leone, having a good teacher and practicing. I'd say that's a big one right there because I've been very lucky with the teachers that I had in my past. Hey Misty, do you keep them make prints or sell those? I have made prints in the past, but I haven't made any recently. I just sell the originals. I know I should make more prints. But we've got another robot here in the comments that I'm going to get rid of. Report to YouTube and all that stuff. David Bonnet, if some makes a good painting, what? If some makes a good painting of a famous painter, can they sell it without a problem? Oh, you mean like a master study? Yeah, you can. Just make sure that you sign it after. So if this was like a study of a Rembrandt, you just say your name after Rembrandt and then the date that you painted it. It's perfectly fine. Now it's different though. If you're replicating a painting that someone made currently in recent times, say anyone after 1920. I think that's when copyright started happening with art. So it's a little more challenging. Like if you're going to replicate a painting done by someone that's alive today, shouldn't be a problem if you sign after, but you might have to check with the original artist. Alright, so now I'm going to work these light planes, the lighter colors, using a bit of my weaker blue. This is Cerulean Blue. A little bit of this. How's that for lazy mixing? There's some light over fingernail. Might end up working on this hand all day, or this whole session. I don't know. I thought I might make it to the flowers, but I'm not sure. So from Lucy Saper, do you recommend Neo-Megilp? I've been wanting to try it, but wasn't sure. Yeah, Neo-Megilp is the one that I use for the most part, especially in the early to middle stages. That right there, this little jelly section, that's my Neo-Megilp. Gamblin's Neo-Megilp is excellent medium. And it's great because it's not a super fast dryer like a Liquin or Galkid, but it's not a super slow dryer either. So it's perfect to use in the middle stages. And then you want to switch to like a mix of linseed oil and a solvent. I have to shrink the thumb a little bit. So just any old generic dark. And so we've got another robot that I'm going to block, ban, and report. Hold on a second. So from David Bonnet, a good way to learn is to look at what you painted and then ask someone to look how it would look even better. That's a good one too, but that's also that's a double-edged sword, because when you present your artworks to the public or to other people, everyone's got their own taste, everyone's got their own opinions and so forth. So it's good from a technical standpoint. I'd say technically speaking, if you ask someone, like even like a non-artist, if you ask them like to look at your painting and tell them for them to tell you what they think, either they're going to be really supportive or they're going to be really critical. But usually the more critical tend to have a much more useful advice, I'd say. Thanks, Misty. Another way that I think that I learn is to always push the boundaries of comfort. If you're always comfortable when you're painting, you're sitting and you're always relaxed and the birds are always singing and the sky is always blue and it's always a fairy tale of some sort, something's going wrong. There has to be some kind of difficulties or challenges, and I think that's so much fun. Like I'm gonna have to repaint these knuckles almost completely, and I like that. When I started this painting, I repainted her face 3 times. So the first time I painted it and I scraped it off. Then I repainted it again and I scraped it off. Or I think the second time I blurred it. And then I started putting more specifics on the face. And working from the live model, it slowed down the process a lot, but I think it's more fun. And you can tell that this one is like built differently. You can see that this line is not connecting. This line doesn't connect anything yet. So it's just like a series of superimposed sketches, as opposed to that super controlled, careful outline. Yep, canvas dancer, no growth without struggle. I agree. And the odd thing is, you never really see people struggle on YouTube, and I think that's all you ever see me do is struggle with paintings. I should probably make some more pre-recorded videos for you. But these are just so much more manageable for me. Okay. Now a little more for the knuckles. When I hold the palette, I kind of always keep like a safe distance away from my thumb. So David Bonnet, oh thanks Leonie, comment about the face. Learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist. That's a good one. I'll take that. That's a good quote. Alright, so we've got another robot. Gonna take care of this. Block band report. Okay, so from GNAR, not sure how to pronounce. How do you make your palette so shiny? I clean it with safflower oil every night. So that could be why it looks so shiny. And Misty, the glasses look hard to paint. In a way, yeah. Glasses are a little difficult. I paint them and repaint them, and I let the planes of the face take priority. The glasses are secondary. So for example, if I'm painting the face tomorrow and I want to push this color here for the edge of the cheek, I'll just paint right over top of the glasses and just paint them back in later. Yep, no problem. I'm moving all the knuckles now. Your palette is dry like raw wood. It could be that solvent, if you're cleaning it with a lot of solvent. Sometimes when you clean with only solvent, it kind of dries out the palette a little bit. But it's not a bad thing. So it's a pink that's not too chromatic. And notice I didn't oil out the painting. Like I said, with long-term paintings, you don't want to oil out with each layer. I always start by making things a little bit darker and then I add light to them. Hey Ruben, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Lots of cadmium green. Mix right into the skin tones. Cobalt blue. The question for everyone: what is the most difficult painting project or art project that you have ever encountered? And did you ever find that you learned something from it? Did you find that you learned something from that very difficult project? And that's a big one for me, learning wise. It's always when I struggle the most that I learn the most. Sometimes if I'm just cruising through a painting, I feel like I don't learn as much. But it's always nice to not have problems and just cruise by and everything is just always in the right place kind of thing. And for me, that answer is every new painting is a new challenge, I think. But in particular, I had to push myself the hardest, I think, with this blue dress painting that I was working on before this. But this one is challenging as well, in that I'm working from the live model and then from the pictures. So it's difficult trying to balance the two. I find what I'm learning from it is patience and learning what to put in and what to take out. For example, her pointer finger in a different spot in the reference than it was when I was painting her, so I may have to change its position. But I'll paint everything around it first. Hey Ray. Canvas dancer, I think commissions are the hardest, not being able to do your own thing, being restrained by what someone else wants. Totally agreeable. I can agree with that for sure. But do you learn anything from the commissions? Or is it just trying to get the job done? Canvas dancer, you resist them, especially with portraits. Oh, I feel you. I mean, like, for example, I will not take commissions that are only from pictures unless it's like someone that I know very closely. For example, like the one that I'm doing for one of my students. But in general, I don't accept commissions that are only from references. I want to be able to take the pictures myself. Or paint the whole thing from life if I could. David Bonnet, faces and hands take a lot of time. We must be patient. Correct. Canvas dancer. Sometimes what I've learned is don't do commissions again. I feel that way after some commissions. Yep, I've felt that way, but it's always a joy to be able to do them. Kimberly, you learn patience when you do commissions because you have to wait to do your own paintings. Totally relatable. Definitely, I've felt that way today. You know, my sometimes it feels like the YouTube paintings are almost commissions, to be honest. Like the one that I was working on last Thursday, that almost feels like a commission to me, but just because I was showing it on the camera from beginning to the point where it's currently at. This one not so much, because this one I started on my own, and you know, you haven't really seen it up until now. There's a lot more freedom with this one. But whenever I do get a commission in the future from like a senator or some kind of diplomat or whatever, I will be very, very grateful. Obviously, they wouldn't commission me looking at this painting, but the finished ones are a whole different story. Stephanie Thompson. My most challenging was attempting a self-portrait. I learned that it's hard to keep my pose and paint from the same perspective. You'll actually remember that pose. Everyone kind of has their own pose when they do self-portraits, Stephanie. For example, look at Rembrandt. He's pretty much always in the same pose with most of his self-portraits. So you'll find a pose and you'll stick with it. It just takes time. Adrian A. Do patrons not trust the artist and want to command the artist? It depends. I mean, you really got to be honest with your client. You have to tell them, like, you're not going to replicate the photograph, and if what they want is a photograph, then they should hire a photographer. But you have to be honest with them. Expectations have to meet reality with commissions. Don't just accept a commission because you don't think that you'll get another commission in the future. I've definitely turned more down than I've accepted in my life, just because it's not going to be beneficial for me or the client if I just replicate a photograph, because I know that that's what they want. Sometimes I can tell with a client right away. For example, like, don't be careful not to take in a commission, especially if the client doesn't agree on like the finances of it. That's a big one. Be very careful with that. We're going to stand back. Alright, so now the hand is not quite as enormous as it was before. Possibly close to the realm of believability. And you see how I just like to mix into my old puddles? Why I don't really require a massive palette. I'm perfectly fine with this 12 by 16 palette. And we know very famous portrait painters like Sargent basically renounced doing commissioned portrait paintings at some point in his life. He just didn't want to deal with them anymore. He just wanted to do his own paintings. Yeah, at this point there's no way I'm going to get to the hairband because the flower. Another major way that I've learned in the past is by switching techniques, which is very odd for most students, I think, which is why I keep my methods consistent when I teach in my online classes. I keep the method very consistent, which is usually just a classical approach, but in particular, keeping a consistent method is usually the best. But for me, I've actually learned a lot from switching around between classical and what this would be considered not as classical. And I'd say the pressure of painting for an audience, I think, teaches the artist a lot. Like, have any of you done any demonstration paintings before? Have you done like, for example, like this, like a YouTube demo, or painting demonstrations in person for your students? That's a teaching experience all on its own. In fact, in Studio Incominati, the school that I went to in Philly, though I didn't get to the third year of their program, but I believe in their third year, they are supposed to do painting demonstrations in front of an audience. Of GNA, I recall a portrait of my friend. Recall I did a portrait of my friend on commission where the patron asked to change the portrait that was already sealed and being framed. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah. I heard Sargent also had to deal with that. Clients that wanted him to come back and change the nose and things like that. Ojan Sky 1, now you paint alone. Well, that's good too, the comfort of being alone. I do like, the more I do these, I do like the pressure a little bit of painting in front of a camera. At first it scared the daylights out of me when I started. The first few times I did it back in 2020, and I didn't quite understand how to keep a composure, but now I'm so used to it. So it's almost a good pressure, I think, to do demonstration paintings. Pretty fun. Fun and scary at the same time. Oftentimes things that are fun tend to be scary. Isn't that weird? Humans are just weird like that. I have tremendous fun in things that would probably be mortifying to most people. You see how I'm building this hand from the inside out, from the middle. The Canvas Dancer has written to us. I have done demos at street events, taught K through 12 for quite a while, a few years, so lots of demos there. Kids are much easier to do demos for in your experience. They ask great questions. Good, good. I've never actually taught kids. I've only ever taught adult classes, like 14 and up. Though I've had some like, I think I had like a 13-year-old in my class once. They do ask really great questions. Oh, Jan Sky 1, it sounds challenging, which is appealing. Yeah, challenges are pretty fun. But there must be a balance, just like everything in life. It has to be a fun challenge that you do once in a while. Like, for example, I can't do these streams like all day, every day. You know, like just from a mental health standpoint, it probably wouldn't be a good thing for me. So it's balance. It's all about balance. And the same thing goes with your painting. You can't be pushing yourself to a new level every time you paint. There's some things that are more monotonous, like the flowers, for example. It's like really monotonous compared to like the face or still life. Like there will be still life in the background over here, and that's not as you know, challenging, I guess, in some instances as the face. And another way that I learn art is just by talking with people that are artists themselves. I mean, I can get in some long conversations that can last for hours with certain people, and I find that I always learn so much in those circumstances. All right, so this finger is starting to bug me, so I'm gonna have to either paint it the way I see it in the reference or the way I saw it last Wednesday. And I think I'm just going to repaint it. I think I still have time. Yep, we still got like 30 minutes or 29 minutes. David Bonnet. Yeah, fear of the unknown. You need a little bit of fear for the learning process. Alright, so the finger is going to be repainted. And in the reference, it's actually underneath, slightly underneath of her chin. So I need a transparent kind of dark reddish brown. So this section is actually in shadow. It's gonna look like she lost her finger for a second. And this is another challenge in and of itself. Having the courage to just paint right over something and adjust it. You can't be afraid to do this. If you're afraid to do this, you're really going to restrict yourself. Just like David Bonnet said, fear of the unknown. And yeah, David Bonnet. Yeah, of course, it's going to look strange. Because I haven't figured it out yet. And that's not a problem. It's a process. Alright, so we got another robot that we must get rid of. Another thing I will advise everyone is be careful not to share your unfinished work on social media. I used to do that. I used to always share images and I would write painting in progress, or look at this painting I just started today, or whatever. Like it's fun to share, but if you're gonna share images like that, share them with other artists and don't make them public. Because it can hurt your image, I'd say. Because when people Google you, they're gonna find your unfinished works. Whereas what they should find is your finished paintings. Yeah, David. Yeah, definitely. It's work in progress. So, for example, so if someone looks me up, I hope that my unfinished paintings, at least pictures of them, don't show up anymore. I mean, the videos are gonna show up because I make videos about art, but that's a different story. A lot of painters will probably be too afraid to show the whole process and will fast forward their videos, which is fine. But I like to show the whole thing as much as I can. Even though it makes me look incredibly boring on YouTube, but it's okay. Where is everyone today? I feel like the chat has been so quiet. That's my question for everyone. Where are you? Where is everyone? Did I just put everyone to sleep? Dear Madam Sergeant, you were talking about John Singer Sargent. Yep, that's the one, Mr. John Singer Sargent. Canvas dancer. I heard an artist say that showing one's work is like getting naked in public. It can be more revealing than planned, especially if work is in progress. Yeah, I can imagine that. I've never thought of it that way, but I can see that. Hey, Stephanie, currently knitting and watching you paint. All right. Another way that I learn in painting is to just get lost. Get to a point in a painting where I just don't even know what to do, and keep pushing. What I call the impossible subtleties. Just keep pushing. This painting is not in the impossible subtleties. Not yet. But possibly tomorrow, at least this part will be. Jim Adams, that's the kind of loose brushwork you want to learn. Like in Boat T Anchor. Oh. Yeah, it's Sargent is deceptive. One thing is that he's a trickster. I've called him a trickster before. Not in a bad sense, but in the sense that he made his paintings look loose like that on purpose. And he actually painted very directly. His teacher Carlos Duran had students painting directly with color, but before studying, he did 4 years with Carlos Duran, who taught him direct painting. He studied classical painting and classical drawing for several years at the École des Beaux-Arts, I think in France, and before studying with Carlos Duran. And he had all of this education before he came to America. Hey, David Bonnet. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that these videos are helpful. Sargent was also a huge fan of Velázquez. You can Google some of his master studies. So Velázquez, or Sargent master studies after Velázquez. So anyone that thinks that master studies are not a good way to learn, try telling that to Sargent. Thanks, David Bonnet. Yeah, at this point, I think I will continue doing these streams. Obviously, I may not be working on the same painting every time. Like today, I'm running behind on this project. But I think at this point, after this many streams, I think it's safe to say that it will be consistent from this point on. See that I like to throw some greenish color around the reddish tones of the knuckles. Jim Adams, loose brushwork looks extremely challenging to me. Love the look of it. It is challenging. One of the best things is really to just understand that loose brushwork and tight brushwork are the same thing, essentially. They're telling you the same thing. It's just that the loose brushwork is kind of like almost like a stylization of sorts. So for example, Sargent would know what his painting would look like if he made it like really, really tight, but then he would go and with a big brush and just a finger would be like 1 mark or 2 marks, like you know, deliberate, very deliberate. Canvas Dancer, being able to get critiques by an artist, one that you trust, is huge to learning. As in my online classes. Oh, thanks. Yeah, definitely getting advice from teachers is one of the biggest ways that I've learned myself as well. Oh, thanks, Leonie. Yeah, totally agree with you, David. Let's build up some of these light planes. And you know, one thing that I really like is routine. Routine with painting. Not so much in the what I'm painting or the way I'm painting. Well, I mean, the way I paint is kind of consistent now throughout, but just routines like waking up in the morning, putting some new paint on my palette. I don't know, even just taking the paint out of the palette out of his box. It's like a ritual to me. And then at the end of the day, cleaning off the mixing space in the palette and with safflower oil and putting the brushes in a bag and then putting that bag in the freezer, or cleaning all the brushes like I should. I still got some brushes I haven't cleaned from like 2 weeks ago. And I just take them, put them in a bag, make sure the bag is as airtight as I can possibly make them, throw them in the freezer, reuse them when I need to. Hey Toma. So Toma has written, hello, I'm painting currently myself, but some my brushes have gotten hard. Unfortunately, I don't have any cleaner. Do you have any ideas on it, alternatives? So for brushes, I would highly suggest using first cleaning it off with Gamsol. If you don't have Gamsol, then maybe honestly maybe like safflower oil. You can clean off brushes with safflower oil, but it doesn't take all the paint off. You can use like some kind of cooking oil, and then hot water and dish soap if you don't have anything else to clean it with. What I use is called the Master's soap. The Master's soap is not that expensive. It's a bar soap, and then they have a conditioner, a brush conditioner. So I think about it like shampoo and conditioner for the brushes. But if you're in a pinch and you don't have anything, just maybe some cooking oil to loosen some of the paint, and then hot water and dish soap. If you don't have anything currently to clean it, like mineral spirits or. But just remember that cooking oil does not dry, so try not to use it. And I did one video a long time ago where I used olive oil because a friend told me to try it. Olive oil with water mixable. You don't do that unless you're only doing a sketch, because olive oil will never dry. So, and I even said it in the video, and I wrote it as a disclaimer in the description box. It was just an experiment. Oh, thanks, David. I'm glad the finger looks better under the chin, and that's how it is in the reference. I'm not showing the reference with this one just because I'm not really copying it or even painting that closely to what it looks like. So it almost would make no sense to show it. Oh, thanks, Tama. Yeah, definitely don't use cooking oil to paint. Just yeah, don't use it. It's the same. I don't have any of you seen that video that I made with acrylic paint. I don't know what I called it, like acrylic painting tutorial, and I did a demonstration painting, and I did a product review of these paints that they sent me, this company sent me, and I never used like that kind of tube that comes in. Let me just show you some tubes of paint, and albeit I guess let's just say different kinds of paint have that little spike on the top. Do you know how many people have told me use the spike on the top, use the spike on the top? Like this is an alkyd, right? And it has the little pointy thing on the top. So like when this was new, I had to stab the top of it. Yeah, most oil paints don't have that. And I don't even think most our golden or Liquitex acrylic paints have that. I know that you need to use the point of the cap to open the tube after 100 or I don't know, like I don't know how many people have commented on that video. You know you can use the top of the tube. You know you can use the top of the tube. My goodness, it's just kind of funny. I don't know if any of you have seen that. It was a pre-recorded video I made a long time ago using acrylics, and everyone's like, use the top of the cap, use the top of the cap. It's just funny to me. I don't know. I don't even know why I put that in the in the video. I should have just kept that to myself. I would have figured it out eventually. That's just one of those things, right? If you're going to be using social media, don't share everything. Don't be like me. Don't get yourself in trouble. Okay, so another question to everyone. What comments do you dislike the most that people make about your art or just art in general? What comments just like are your pet peeve, so to speak, like things that people say that just you don't like? And I would go so far as to say that might annoy you. So please do share. I'm curious. What kind of comments do you not like that people make about your art or other people's art? My first word that I do not like, and I use it a lot, is the word interesting. I do not like the word interesting with art. It is one of my least favorite words that I use too much myself. I do not like the word interesting with art. I don't like it even in conversation, like interesting. What do you mean interesting? Is it thought evoking? Is it not thought evoking? Is it, what do you mean by interesting? Like that's one of my pet peeves in art conversation. Yeah, canvas dancer. Oh, that's interesting. Yes, I do not like that word. It's funny that you feel the same. But come on, share, everyone. What do you not like that people say about your art or other people's art? Because there's a lot of them, like a lot. Yep, exactly, canvas dancer. And we can make t-shirts out of these things, these sayings that people have. So, jabby, someone, you've had people say, oh, that's nice, why don't you paint a flower? Oh man, if somebody said that to me, that'd be like, I don't know, why don't you paint a flower? Just pick a flower out of a garden and paint it, why won't you? Like, yeah, definitely. Definitely, I definitely feel you with that one. Or another one is like, now people are gonna watch what they say to me. Another one that I don't like, that people say so often, is, oh, that's so pretty. That's so pretty. Or cute, like the word cute. They're like, oh, that's so cute. In my mind, how dare you? How dare you? Like, that's just one of those that, like, just don't walk up to a painter's work that they've been spending months on and call it cute. Like that's just like, that like shakes up the soul. Because you put some of your soul into this. Let's see. So Toma, you've gotten, is it supposed to look like that? Oh my god, that's terrible. That's terrible. Like that's just borderline mean. The David Bonnet, ugly or it's off. Okay, that's not good. Well, I get that a lot. People always tell me my paintings are ugly, especially on YouTube. If you read some of the comments, everyone's like, "Oh, the nose is too big. The lips are too big. It doesn't look like the picture." Like people always tell me that on YouTube. If you want to read some good hate comments, look at my comment section on my videos. Canvas dancer, another one. If it's a portrait, is who's that? Which is usually not the point. Exactly. That's a good one. I never thought about that, but it's a good point. They should be Admiring the painting, not questioning who the person is that you painted. That's a good one. Jobby job. Yep, so cute, probably the worst. Yes. Yes, thank you for understanding. Understanding where I'm coming from here. I can't believe it's already 9 o'clock. Well, I'm going to paint for like maybe a couple more minutes, but let's get a few more comments in about this, because this is one of my most curious questions that I tend to always reuse. Oh, and the best, oh my god, the best. When I talk to people that I haven't seen in like, I don't know, months or years, they're like, oh, are you still painting pictures? Like, do you ever get that? People are like, are you still painting pictures? I don't know. I'm a full-time artist. Should you not have to ask that question every time you see me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just going on a rant at this point. Things that people say. It's comical though, it's pretty funny. But trust me, don't feel bad if you ever write that, you know, that my painting's cute or something or whatever. Like I know you mean well. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not gonna just get upset and ban you or something just because of that. Because people just don't know like what to say in these situations. Of course, there's a robot. That's always something. I gotta get rid of the robot for a second. I think that should be good for the fingers for now. Alright, let me get rid of this robot and then we're gonna take some last minute questions and then we'll be good. Oh yeah, Stephanie Thompson, is it finished? Oh no, a canvas dancer. Who says that? When are you gonna get a real job? I've gotten something similar to that from my sister-in-law. Yeah, let me tell you. Oh, wait a minute. This might not be... Okay, so I'm not sure if this one is a good or a robot or not. So it looks like it. Yeah, it looks like it. So I'm not even gonna. So Thomas, someone says, "Can you draw me?" is a classic. Actually, I don't mind when people say that. I'm always like, "Are you gonna pose for me?" And sometimes that works. Sometimes that works actually. Sometimes that's how I get a new model. Doesn't happen so much anymore because most painting groups are just not meeting, but not always a bad thing. Okay. Alright, so someone wrote to me in a language I don't understand, and I don't know if it's a robot, so I'm not going to ban this person just because I am not sure. Probably is a robot though. So, any last minute questions? Can't believe it's already 9 o'clock. Remember, I will be back Thursday around 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. To be more specific, 7:15 p.m. So from David Bonnet, how long have you painted? Is that a question that you don't like, or is that a question you're asking me? See, I'm confused now. I've been painting for 13 years. Just about 13 years. Alright, so let's see if there's any last minute questions. So remember, it's the first of the month, so if you're interested in taking online classes with me, I think with Patreon, people usually sign on the first of the month, though you're able to sign on anytime you want. And I think it adjusts the billing depending on when you start. Thanks, Jobby Job. Oh, thanks, Canvas Dancer. Oh, speaking of which, I should probably move this thing. You can see it with less distortion. Of course, as soon as I move it, you can see that how sunken in that is. So maybe I should move that. That doesn't look so off. Hey Donald, oh thank you for that comment. Oh, it's a question that you don't like. Oh, okay. I could see that. I could see that. I mean, I just usually get that question asked almost all the time. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any extra questions. So, yep, no problem, Jim Adams. So thank you so much for watching this live oil painting session. Remember, if you want to take your online art education with me further, please check out my online classes on patreon.com/YupariArtist. The link is also posted in the description box, and it's pinned as the top comment in the comment section of this video. If you missed the beginning of this video, or if you missed parts of it, don't worry, this video is going to be available for you to watch anytime you'd like as a pre-recorded video on YouTube, because I have enabled the live chat replay, so you'll be able to watch this as a pre-recorded video and watch the questions pop up on the screen just as if the video was being filmed live while you were watching it. Hey Black Rabbit, welcome. So I will be back on Thursday around 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, more specifically 7:15 p.m. Again, thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the very best in all of your artwork, and I'll see you on the next one.